Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly Dampus. I'm the Chancellor here at Arkansas State University. It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Bradbury Art Museum. You know, every red wolf counts at Arkansas State University, and today we're happy to welcome to campus some individuals who share our enthusiasm for the American red wolf conservation efforts that our campus is involved in. 2 years ago, Arkansas State University escalated its involvement in national efforts to save the critically endangered American red wolf. Specifically, we have partnered with the Endangered Wolf Center in St. Louis and the Red Wolf Species Survival Plan and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in their efforts to protect and to grow the population of the American red wolf in this country. Our Arkansas Center for Biodiversity Collections is designated by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service as the National Specimen Bank for blood and tissue samples for red wolves. Students have also formed a group called Red Wolves for Red Wolves to raise awareness of red wolves in this country and the danger that they're facing as an endangered species. Last fall, we joined with the National Wildlife Federation in a national awareness campaign through social media as well to raise awareness about the threat that red wolves are facing in this country. Today, our special guest shares his gift of art with us to help share the story of the American red wolf. I'd like to introduce the leaders of our conservation efforts here on campus before we get into that part. So Dr. Tom Risch, he's hiding in the back there, is our Vice Provost for Research and Technology Transfer and Executive Director for the Arkansas Biosciences Institute. And Tracy Klotz, and I saw Tracy is back there as well. Tracy is an instructor in the biology department, and he processes and maintains all the red wolf specimens that come to us from around the country. We really appreciate the efforts of Tom and Tracy and our Red Wolves for Red Wolves organization, and we're excited about the opportunities that lay ahead for Arkansas State University as we work to expand our involvement in the American red wolf conservation in the coming months. Now, someone who's very special to me, a good friend of mine who has been very involved in leading our efforts here on campus is Jeff Hankins, who works at the Arkansas State University System office in Little Rock, has come up here and he's going to introduce our guest to us. So Jeff, will you come on up here? Thank you so much, Jeff.
Where, yeah.
I gave that short trip. We wouldn't be here today without Jeff's.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It takes a village. It takes a national village to save an endangered species like the red wolf. Well, we're really fortunate. We have two, before I introduce our artists, we've got two national leaders in red wolf conservation who have joined us for this occasion today. First is Chris Lasher. He's of the North Carolina Zoo. He is the coordinator of the National Red Wolf Species Survival Plan. And then Regina Mazzotti of the Endangered Wolf Center in St. Louis, who is the assistant coordinator for the Red Wolf Species Survival Plan. And we've worked very closely with the Endangered Wolf Center with its proximity, and they really approached us a couple of years ago, encouraging us to expand our involvement. But I've asked Chris Lasher that the SSP organization has really embraced the efforts of A-State and asked us to escalate our efforts by building, at some point, a breeding facility in Jonesboro. Our goal is to help meet those conservation needs. There's some space at Craighead Forest Park that they think would be ideal. We're going to tour that facility a little later this afternoon. But I've asked Chris to explain the role of the SSP and how he sees Arkansas State playing into that role. So please welcome Chris Lasher.
Hi, everybody. I'm very honored to be here today and talk about our partnership that the SSP has with Arkansas State University. They have become an incredibly valuable partner with the SSP and in the efforts to save this critically endangered iconic American species, the American red wolf. The effort that they're made with their Center for Biodiversity Collections is invaluable to us. We didn't have that before A-State came on board, and what that is going to allow us to do is save specimens for future use, future research. It really consolidates all of our banking into one facility where we can be a lot more efficient, a lot more effective with trying to solve the issues with the American red wolf. But I'm really excited to have A-State become one of our partners with housing red wolves at their facility. There are 41 partners across the United States right now that house red wolves, and we're hoping A-State becomes 42. And what they're going to be able to do for us is create a breeding center where we can increase the number of wolves under human care that we have to help U.S. Fish and Wildlife with the recovery programs. And that's important because right now we only have capacity for about 225 wolves in all of our SSP partners. We need about 50 new spaces in the next 5 to 8 years to be able to meet the needs that U.S. Fish and Wildlife has demanded to have a new recovery location for red wolves. And A-State providing 6 of those spaces in the near future is going to be a big boost for us to be able to meet that goal that U.S. Fish and Wildlife has put in us. So thank you again, Jeff, and thank you to everyone from A-State to being part of this expansion for red wolf recovery. And red wolves are native right here to Arkansas, and for Arkansas State to be a key player in saving the species it just makes sense, and it's a perfect partnership that we have with you guys. Thank you so much.
So Chris is the one who introduced us to Dale Weiler and Lodi Woods earlier this summer. The Weiler Woods for Wildlife organization uses Dale's wildlife sculptures to raise awareness and funding for endangered animals throughout the world. They describe this work as their life mission. Dale says he fell in love with nature while camping and fly fishing across North America. He, in his former life, flew A-4s in the Naval Air Command and served aboard the USS Kitty Hawk in Vietnam. He's both an artist and an engineer, which is very unique in and of itself, and spent 30 years in management consulting. His latest work is called Just Settling In, and it features an American red wolf and her pup. This original stone sculpture will be on display in Jonesboro over at least the next couple of years before being moved to its permanent home at the North Carolina Zoo. So before we unveil the sculpture, I've asked Dale to tell us more about his work. And Dale, welcome to Arkansas State University.
Lodi and I share a passion for helping to save endangered wildlife and their habitat, as Jeff had said. And we are trying to spread the word to let people know about the critical nature of a lot of animals here in the U.S. and all over the world. With regard to red wolves, if you had asked Lodi and myself about the red wolf, you would have gotten blank stares from us. We had never heard of a red wolf. We're from North Carolina, and the only wild pack is in our home state. So that really rung true about how little we knew about this amazing animal. And the way we found out about the red wolf was through Chris Lasher. We had been working with the North Carolina Zoo and some other projects, and while we were over there, Chris took us aside and said, I've got something to show you that you might not be aware of. And he told us a story of the red wolf and the pressures in the uphill battle that the red wolf is facing. And then the icing on the cake was he actually took us to see some of those red wolves. And as Lodi had mentioned to some folks, we were smitten. It was love at first sight. We had no idea how beautiful these animals were, how misunderstood they were, and how underexposed they are. So when we got back from our visit to North Carolina Zoo, I went out to my studio and started looking at my rock pile to see if I could find a red wolf. And lo and behold, I found a piece of Utah alabaster that I'd been staring at for probably 10 years. Didn't know what was inside it until I learned about red wolves. And then when I looked at that piece of stone, the colors in the stone just screamed out, I'm a mother and a baby red wolf sitting here waiting for you to pull me out. So about 4 months later, after hammering, chiseling, grinding, sawing, sweating and bleeding a lot, getting this piece out. It was done. And once I had it finished, the question was, what do we do with it? To spread the word about red wolves. So we went back to the person who started this whole thing, Chris, and said, Chris, how do we use this sculpture to get people more aware about the red wolf and get them as excited as we are and as inspired as Lodi and I are about saving these magnificent animals? And Chris's first reaction was, we sure would like to have it at the zoo. And we could certainly use it to help educate the public, but we really don't have a venue right now that's suitable. And then he smiled and he said, but I've got a great place for this. And he couldn't think of a more fitting place to debut the unveiling of Just Settling In, and he said, Arkansas State. So he gave us a little background about Arkansas State, and then Lodi and I did some homework about this amazing institution. And then we had a conversation with Tom and Jeff, and I would bet in less than a minute, we knew it was the right decision. It was just a perfect match. The stars had aligned. We have an institution of higher learning where all of the incoming students are given a book about red wolves, learn to appreciate how important they are and how they fit in. They've backed that up with an incredible investment to help perpetuate the species, have energized the public. I mean, you look around this town and it's not just the university, it's this whole town that has come out for red wolves. And then you've got mascots, red wolf mascots. It is just, it's an amazing opportunity for Lodi and myself to debut this piece in the most fitting place it could go. And we can't thank you all enough for finding a home, for Just Settling In, and for spreading the word. And we're just thrilled to be part of the pack. So thank you.